Cassius. Cassius de Kumasi. Cassius de Mbongo de Kumasi. They no be Takadi DJ.
Takadi who you know?
Takadi another one. I forget the editor.
DJ. I know the obviously will come.
Yeah.
For the permutation, we bring him. DJ editor then get some DJ, the old man.
Whiskey in DJ now. Oh, at the camp. Suraka.
I mean last.
Then they play the gunshot.
DJ gunshot.
Once I know what I mean, I'll bring my YouTube.
Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please kindly hold on as we start. We'll call on Sweetie to give us an opening prayer.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Please let us pray as we start our talk. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our life today. For each mind and heart present here, I pray you fill us with your understanding. In Jesus' name I have prayed. Amen.
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 Good afternoon once again. Glad we are all able to join this talk. We are having a discussion on stress management and the need to have a regular checkup. And giving us this talk is by Dr. Kenneth Dazi, who is the head of clinical services at Impact Clinic and Medical Diagnostic Center. He has worked at Kolebu Mamprovi Hospital in Accra. He has special interest in obstetrics, radiology, emergency medicine, and surgery. He also has interest in health and safety and insurance underwriting. Without wasting much time, I will call on Dr. Dazi to take us through the talk. I hope we have an insightful and educative one to help us in our daily lives. Thank you. Dr. Dazi, you have the floor. Dr. Dazi, you can share your screen now. Hello, Dr. Dazi. Please hold on, Dr. Dazi will be with us shortly. Hello, doctor.
Hello.
Yeah, please, you can start now.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Right. So, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Dazi. I'm the GP at Impact Clinic. I'm sure some kind of introduction has been done already. So I'll just go straight to our presentation on stress management. I've been told in the past that doctors are the worst people to talk about stress because we're the worst examples of stress management. But I'll try to give you an interesting approach to what stress is, how to manage it. You know, the truth about stress is that it is impossible to do away with stress. You know, stressful conditions will always exist as long as you are on this earth. So the truth about stress is that stress is coped with, stress is managed, but you cannot completely eliminate stress. And in the next few minutes, I will be taking you through what stress is, what stress looks like for different people, and then how to cope with it and manage it in the workplace. Managing stress is both an individual responsibility and a corporate responsibility. It means that it's our employers, our team, supervisors, our managers, our directors should be part of what stress management is for everybody, so that it's properly managed across the workplace. We are talking about stress management in the workplace. I recently spoke to someone in a certain company, and they were referring me to a certain director, and they mentioned the director as human capital development manager. That's why I realized the company recognizes their staff as human capital that has to be developed, and then having stressed out staff will definitely not allow you to meet your targets or get the best out of the team members in your company. So it's an important thing that has to be managed both on an individual level and at a management and directorship level, where people can identify people in the company who are stressed, who are dealing with stressful conditions, and help them manage it properly. Good. So quickly, I'll just take you through an outline. First of all, we'll be talking about what stress is. So there are 3 parts, even though it's very short. I've divided the presentation into 3 parts: general awareness about stress, we'll talk about stress at work, and then how to get help. So outlining part, I'm talking about what is stress, types of stress, and then let's just go through very quickly. Good. So what is stress? Stress has different pictures for different people. Okay. So in the next couple of pictures, I'll be showing you what stress looks like for different groups of people. So the first one is the stress that we are all currently dealing with, which is fuel prices. And in this picture, the person, Shell, is trying to tell us that with the way the price is going, we have to personally message them to get the price of fuel, because fuel prices are so high. So we are just looking at pictures of what stress is like for people. And this is just one example. This is another example. I mean, married men and men who are about to get married also understand. I will not talk too much about what this is trying to say, but I'm sure you can get the picture of what stress is. This is another picture of stress when you think about going home or getting to work. And you think of all the traffic that you have to deal with. This is another, stressing, environment or stressor that we have to deal with is traffic. Kids, all right? This is what stress looks like for people. Your children are all over the place. You are trying to work. You are trying to think. You are trying to, study for exam, even as an adult, and it's so much stress. They don't seem to have a trouble in this life, and you have to deal with that. Another stress is exam. Sometimes I meet people who are working, who have kids, who are writing exams in 2 or 3 different schools doing different courses, and it's very difficult to deal with, So that's another thing that stress looks like. That's the stress for men. That's why it's stress for men. Early in the morning at 10:47, one of your girls has sent you, I need Momo. This is a very stressful thing to deal with. Hey, sorry, wrong slide. This is another stress. Right. So stress is the reaction people have to excessive pressure or, sorry, just a minute, please. Right. So we're saying that stress is, the reaction that people have to excessive pressure or other types of demand placed on them. And it arises when they worry that they cannot cope with the pressures that they are having to deal with. So stress is mainly when the pressure is more than what you can deal with at the time, right? However, we all write in our CVs that works well under pressure until the pressure itself starts coming, and then we have to start dealing with stress. So stress is the wear and tear our minds and bodies experience as we attempt to cope with our continually changing environment. Stress equals pressure greater than resources. So we enter stressful conditions when the pressures of life around us are greater than the resources that we have. Psychological resources, financial resources, physical resources, the resource of strength, intellectual resources, emotional resources. Anytime the pressure outweighs the resource, we enter a stressful condition. What are some of the feelings that we deal with when we are stressed? What are some of the stressful feelings that we have to deal with? We start to worry when we are stressed. We start to feel very tensed. We start to feel very tired, frightened, elated. We feel depressed. We feel anxious. And sometimes we feel angry when we are having to deal with stressful feelings. And when you wake up in the morning, and I speak for myself, and I know that a lot of people have to deal with it. When you wake up in the morning, you are so tired. Things that don't usually annoy you. So maybe you just have a phone call from a random person. You are just annoyed. Like, why is the person calling you at this time? By the time it's 10 a.m. So these are some of the feelings that we deal with when we are under stress, when we begin to worry, when we get tensed, we feel exhausted, we feel frightened, we feel depressed, anxious, or angry. Good. So when we talk about stresses are the things that give us stress, okay? Anything that brings you stress, anything that brings you pressure more than you can handle is called a stressor. And I'll just pause, ask if everybody can hear me and if everybody can see the slide so that, I don't just continue when people can't hear. Can everybody hear me? If you can just turn on your mic briefly and say yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. We can hear
All right,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so we can go on. Good. What are stresses? So stresses are the pressures that we do, the things that give us stress. Now, stresses are grouped into external and internal types. So the external stresses, things that come from the outside, then things that come from the inside. They come from your way of thinking, your own emotions, from your own build-up, from the way you were brought up, all sorts of your perspectives of life, different things. Sometimes when people tell me the things that stress them, I feel like, this is a regular day for me. What the person is so stressed about is something I will call a good day. If the person actually had to deal with my stressful day, the same with me. When I talk to somebody else, the person feels like you are not dealing with any stress at all. So there are internal factors and then there are external factors. So what are some of the external stresses? Your physical environment, social interaction, having to deal with people. And your environment at work is your physical environment, your home, traffic, where you live, all sorts of things. Social interaction, the people that you have to deal with. Sometimes the stress just comes from the team, your team members, your boss, your colleagues, your employees, your staff. External stresses include organizational, stresses. So, maybe you're a national service personnel, so much red tape you have to do to just get your work done, all sorts of things. major life events, and daily hassles. These are some of the external things that give us stress. The next one is, so let's talk about your physical environment. So we are just giving examples of each external stressor. So physical environment includes noise. And just so you know, listen, sometimes we don't realize it, but if you leave Accra, you realize that even when nobody is shouting in your ears, Accra is so noisy. If you go to, some other parts of Ghana, let's say you even go to the eastern region, you go to the mountains, you go to the Volta region, you realize how calm and how quiet the place is. Accra is very, very noisy. And sometimes when you leave is when you realize how relaxing that environment is and how stressful it is here with every taxi driver blowing their horn. Sometimes trotro drivers are actually playing a song with their horn. So it's like, you don't even understand what the person is trying to communicate. Bright lights, heat, confined spaces, all these are things in the physical environment that could act as stresses. Social interaction. So maybe you are dealing with a very rude team member that you have to work with, or your work, let's say you are a marketing person, and every time you have to meet people, you want to meet people to market what you are selling, so rude. As a doctor, sometimes I've had to do some marketing for my clinic. I have to go and speak to some HR or something. And usually when I go, I understand how people think in Ghana sometimes. So when I go, I don't mention that, I'm so I just go and say, hi, my name is Kenneth. I'm from Impact Clinic. I would like to know if I can book an appointment. The rudeness that you receive before maybe they'll finally find out that, even if they find out that, okay, now I know you are a doctor, the rudeness still continues. And these things can act as stresses in terms of social interaction. Bossiness, right? You are working with people who are so bossy. You wake up in the morning and the thing on your mind is your supervisor or your team member who is so bossy that you have to deal with, or your husband or your wife. It's so bossy, it's so difficult to deal with. Aggressiveness and bullying. I'll not go too much into all of them. Organizational stresses include rules and regulations in the workplace that impede you from doing your work. Some red tape. When we say red tape, we mean bureaucratic processes that are very difficult to break, in order to do what you need. Stress myself in the workplace. Sometimes somebody is coming to do a test. The test will usually take 5 hours. And then I'll call the lab and tell them, I want the test in 30 minutes. And I don't care what you say. I need my test in 30 minutes. So these are some of the things that people have to deal with. Major life events in people's lives bring a lot of stress. So somebody has given birth, and sometimes it's so challenging in the workplace. People who are pregnant, people who have just given birth, and they're still getting phone calls from work. I need you to do this. I need you to meet this target. Look, even without work, giving birth, having a child, being pregnant is a very stressful life event that is difficult to deal with. Losing a loved one or losing a friend, and like I said, it's different for everybody, because think about it. As a doctor, we see dead people every day. Right? Sometimes there are patients that you become very close with, that you become very affable. Sometimes you like. I remember there was a time when I worked in the Ridge Hospital. A very interesting patient. It was an old man. His family abandoned him, so we had to take care of him. We became like his family, and he became a very good friend of mine. Very troublesome, very troublesome. But for some reason, I developed a liking for him. And anytime I come to the ward, he's the first person I'll come and look for. Because I used to buy his medication. I used to buy him food. I used to take care of him. He got so better. He got absolutely better. He came in with heart failure. And he got so better on the medication that we had bought for him. And we're very happy that he was fine. So one day I wake up in the morning, I get a call from the ward that my patient has passed. I'm like, what? I've done everything. This patient is much better. And I said, well, it's part of life. We all lose patients. So I went on with my life, continued my work. Then I got a call from the ward that the patient's family is now in and they want the body right away. They want me to come and say, I'm like, this patient has been here for 6 weeks. The family never came to this patient died. Now they are giving me pressure. So stormed in the ward very angry. I was ready to like shout at the family and tell them clear off. When I saw the family, for some unknown reason, I just started crying. I wept like a baby. This was 2 years after working as a doctor. So it's not like I wasn't used to people dying, but I just broke down and started crying. So death is a very, whether the person is distant, whether the person is a family member, whether it's a loved one, it can be a stressful environment. It can be a stressor when you lose somebody. A lot of job, even a promotion, as nice as it comes with the pay and everything, a promotion can come with stress. And marital status change. So you have now married, you have posted all the nice pictures. But now when you're at work, your wife will text you, please buy this, please buy this. And this in this economy, the word we don't want to hear is buy. You know, big hassles, commuting. Maybe you live at Kaswa, thank God that they have now removed the toll booths, but still there's traffic. You live at Dawinya, live at Community 25. You have to come to work at Asylum Down or at Dabraka. It's extremely stressful. And the next one is losing your keys. I don't know how many people have lost their keys when you have to be at a meeting at 7 and it's 6:45. You can't find your keys. You live at Spintex, maybe the meetings are done so much. It is not a pleasant thing at all. Mechanical breakdowns. In this day and age, when you hear noise in your car, just increase your volume and continue driving, because you know your car breaking down can be troublesome. Next thing, we have internal stresses. So these are things that we do to ourselves. These are things that we do in our own lives that bring stress. They are not from outside. They are inside things that affect us. So the first one is lifestyle choices. Okay, everybody chooses their lifestyle. Nobody chooses their lifestyle for you. If you choose that your lifestyle is soft life, you want to have a wonderful life of nice pictures, going to all the best restaurants in the world, traveling to Dubai, going everywhere, buying the most expensive things, you don't have the money. Please don't say that it's stressful. You have, chosen your own path. You have decided, to choose that way of life. Negative self-talk, mind traps, and personality traits. So lifestyle choices, lack of sleep, drinking a lot of coffee, you've overloaded your schedule. These things can bring you a lot of stress. Negative self-talk, or having a negative, perspective. Pessimistic thinking. People always think that something bad is going to happen. They are stressed. Like everybody is okay, but they are thinking that something bad is going to happen. This is going to happen. Going to lose money. All sorts of things, and they get stressed in those conditions. Self-criticism, but analyzing. Okay, you are married. Your husband or your wife comes home at 7 p.m. Now he's not home by 7:15. You have analyzed, you have thought about him or her, whether they're in a hotel and they are with somebody, they have gone back to their ex, or they broke, all sorts of things. But analyzing can bring you a lot of stress. Okay. Mind traps, unrealistic expectations. Okay. I don't even want to go into that. Taking things very personally. Now, there's a balance. You have to take things personally enough to be serious about it. And you also can't take everything so personally. Sometimes some people, I like to greet with my eyes. Maybe I'll not talk because in the morning I don't like to talk much. If you greet, I might just raise my eyebrows or give you a nod, or I might just raise my hand. So if you greet me and say good morning, and I don't respond with a good morning, you don't look at me waving, you might certainly take it personally. Tadazi didn't greet me. It's very rude. I mean, if the person doesn't greet you, does it add money to your personal wealth? The person doesn't respect you. It doesn't put money in your account. Doesn't fill your fuel tank. Doesn't grant you free access on Judgment Day. Don't take everything personally. They just give. Sometimes people are just stressed the whole day because somebody spoke by heart to them. If you speak by heart to me, it doesn't increase my height or decrease my height. So taking things personally brings people a lot of stress. All or nothing thinking. Okay. Personally, I think I'm an all or nothing person. So either it's 100% or nothing. People don't like. It must be perfect or I'm not having it. Exaggeration and rigid thinking. I don't want to explain everything because it takes a lot of time. Personality traits. So some people are perfectionists and some people are workaholics. Okay. People have been workaholics since they give birth to them. And they will overwork themselves and then they will now be complaining. You see, if you are a workaholic, own it. And you understand that it comes with stress. Right. So these are some of the things. Right. So let's talk about some types. We've talked about stresses. Now let's talk about types of stress. So there's negative stress. There's actually positive stress. Okay. Now let's look at what it means. Negative stress is contributory factor in minor conditions such as headaches, digestive problems, skin complaints, insomnia, and ulcers. So a lot of people come to the hospital with headaches, with constipation, with rashes, always itching. When it's 5 o'clock, they start suddenly itching. Some people are sleeping all day at work. When they get home, they can't sleep. Some people eat well, but they have ulcer. And these things sometimes are results of stress. Sometimes you go to the hospital, we run all the tests and everything is fine. And by force, the doctor will force you to have typhoid. Every day you are washing your hand about 10 times a day. You cook your own food, your food is always hot, and you handle food very well. They say by force you have typhoid. You have been taking typhoid medication 4 times a year. Sometimes it's really stress, burnout, and exhaustion. Maybe you are dehydrated, maybe you are just overworked, and your symptoms are as a result of chronic fatigue. Okay. So excessive, prolonged, and unrelieved stress can have a harmful effect on mental, physical, and spiritual health. Right. So negative stress is what causes problems for you. And positive stress is when the pressure from outside motivates you and stimulates you to be more productive, and to be able to be to do more out of the challenges that bring you. So there are stresses that actually make people better. There are stresses that actually break people down. It differs for everybody. You understand? So I was saying, everyone is different. Everyone has unique perceptions and reactions to life events. I mean, there's no single level of stress that's optimal for everybody. The kind of stress I can handle is not the kind of stress somebody else can handle. The kind of stress someone else can handle is not what I can handle. The type of stress I can work. I remember when I was in the government sector, I could work 48 hours without sleep. I'll be there. And I'm not talking about work 15 minutes rest. I would work through until my boss would come and say, okay, wait and go and sleep. But leave me with a 2-month-old baby. In 30 minutes, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I want to throw the baby outside the window. I just want to give the baby back to the mother. But maybe a mother who may not be able to do that 48-hour work can stay with the baby, deal with the stress, and can cope with it. You understand? So people are more sensitive to some kind of stresses depending on their experiences in childhood. I mean, what they went through in school, their parents, their religion, all sorts of things. So it's important for us to realize that, like I said before, some of the stress that we experience is self-generated. As a result of how you perceive life, how you were brought up, in your perspective of life. Somebody's mic is on. That if you can kindly turn off your mic for me, if that's okay with you. Thank you so much. So self-generated stress is something like a paradox. Okay? It's like it's a weird kind of thing, because many people think that stress is always coming from outside. But a lot of times, the stress that people deal with is as a result of their own doing. Okay, but let's move quickly. Let's talk about some symptoms of stress. Are we all here? Can everybody hear? Are we all on the same page? I'm just doing a quick check.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Right. Thank you. Symptoms of stress. So there are physical symptoms, there are mental symptoms, there are behavioral symptoms, there are emotional symptoms. What are some of the physical symptoms? Sleep pattern changes. So now you realize that maybe you used to sleep throughout the night, but now you only sleep from 9 to 11. After 11, you can't sleep again. Stress. Maybe now you used to wake up at 4 a.m. Now when it's 6, you can't even get out of bed. The next one is fatigue. You climb the stairs, you take 3 flights of stairs, and you have to hold the rail and pant for about 5 minutes before you continue. Okay. Some people, they are very friendly because they get tired very easily. So maybe they are going to the 4th floor. When they get to the 1st floor, they have to stop for 5 minutes and greet everybody and say hello. You think that, oh, this person is very nice. So every day the person is greeting, the person is just tired and having to stop to rest to greet everybody. Next one is digestive changes. Okay, you're not able to eat well, you are constipated, you're always running, you feel like going to the loo, you go, nothing comes. These are also symptoms of stress. Loss of sexual drive. Okay. So a lot of the complaints I get in the outpatient department, people come to a clinic, young men between the ages of maybe 28 and 35. Their major complaint is that when they wake up in the morning, they don't have an erection. When they were younger, they used to have erections. Now, from the age of 28, I mean, you see a man at the age of 36 comes to tell me that when he wakes up in the morning, there's no erection. And I tell them that, my brother, by the time I was in medical school, 4th year, 5th year, I don't remember the last, from that time, I think I was 24, 25. I've never had the kind of stress that we are dealing with at the age of 25. Maybe you are working, you are even a national service person, you have to take car from Kaswa to Circle, from Circle to Dansoman, from the thing, it will not wake up in the morning. It's also stressed. Do you understand? And maybe the drive that you had for sex is no longer there. Now, when we talk about loss of sexual drive, people need to understand that, and not only for men, for women as well. I've had several people who have had to come to me and tell me that, look, now when I sleep with my husband, I don't feel anything. Now, let me explain that. The number of times you're having sex in a day or in a week is no reflection of your sexual drive, because everybody is different. Now, some people can have sex 3 or 4 times a day, because the one time that they have it, they still don't feel anything. So they want to do 3 or 4 before they feel something. After the 3 or 4, they are still not feeling, so they have to continue the following day. So your libido is reduced, and your response is to have sex several times to try to see if you feel the same way. It's the same way with drugs. So somebody smokes one roll of marijuana, and the feeling that he used to get from the one roll is not the same. So now he has to smoke 10 in order to try to get that feeling. If he doesn't get the feeling with the 10, he continues. You understand? So loss of sexual drive does not mean that you're not having sex often. It also means that you could be having sex a lot, trying to get the same feeling, and you're not getting. Headaches, recurrent headaches and migraines, aches and pains, recurrent infections, and indigestion. Those are some of the physical symptoms. We'll go very quickly. Mental symptoms, lack of concentration, memory lapses. So I don't know if you can see me in the camera. Sometimes somebody has the pen in the ear like this, and the person will roam the whole building, arguing with everybody, looking for the pen that is in their ear, or looking for the pen that's here, or looking for the pen that's in their ear. And you ask the person's age, and the person says, I'm 31. You see that some people just are so tired, right? Difficulty in making decisions, confusion, disorientation, and panic attacks. These are some mental symptoms. Behavioral symptoms include appetite changes, eating disorders, increased intake of alcohol and other drugs, increased smoking, restlessness, fidgeting, nail biting. If you look at my nails, it's terrible. I've been chewing my nails for very long. It's bad. Don't say as a doctor, and I'm saying that it's a bad habit and it's not good. Hypochondria. Okay, right. Good. Emotional symptoms. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because this is where a lot of people have their stressful symptoms. They have bouts of depression. So there are times when you just feel down. You don't understand what is happening. You feel very depressed. You feel like, so Jesus Christ, won't he just come so that we go? Or won't something just happen to the world so that we all just die, and then all this nonsense will end? When you start having those thoughts, please, it's a very serious thing. Take it very, very seriously. Okay. Impatience. Okay. So that you become very irritable, very impatient, fits of rage, tearfulness. Now, this is especially with females, For the gentlemen, how you pick up your wife or your girlfriend from work. Hello, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Have you eaten today? All of that, she just starts crying. Why are you crying? She doesn't know why she's crying. And you're also confused. Sometimes it's just stress. Deterioration of personal hygiene and appearance. Now, if you notice that people don't care about how their hair looks like again, how they dress. If you see a woman and the woman just suddenly decides that I cannot continue going to the salon. I'm cutting my hair. You know, it's not all the time that I stress, but a lot of times just stress because they can't deal with maintaining, you know, their hair again, and they just have to cut it. Okay, good. Right. So stress is related to a lot of medical illnesses, all right? And people don't understand that sometimes could be. So cardiovascular, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, you know, heart disorders, strokes are related to stress a lot. Immune system, impaired immune performance or immunosuppression or immunocompromisation is associated with increased levels of stress, asthma recurrence, and diabetes. Right? Digestive disorders, ulcers, skin complaints, acne, psoriasis, headaches and migraines, menstrual syndrome and menstrual disorders, depression are all medical conditions that are associated with stress. 80% of all modern diseases have their origins in stress. So people ask me, you know, back in the day, if you saw somebody and the person says they have BP, they're most likely 60, 70, or 80. Now you see 25-year-olds, 27-year-olds, 28-year-olds on BP medication, on diabetic medication, and you wonder where it's coming from. Look, no matter what how you look at it, the kind of stress that people deal with in this era, in this generation, in this time, is different from what people were dealing with 30, 40 years ago. You know, 30, 40 years ago, you'll be coming out of the university if you are, you know, 25, 26, 27. Now we have 19-year-olds coming out of the university doing national service, looking for a job when they are 20 years. You know, it's challenging. Okay, good. Right, so let's move to the next part. So stress at work, right? What are some of the factors that influence stress at work? We all want to be successful. You know, work patterns are changing. COVID has made work very difficult. People working from home, having to commute, have to protect yourself, you know, having kids while you're still working conditions, overwork or underwork. Right. Right. I think I'm going back. Let's go forward. Sorry, we'll be done. Right. What is happening to my slides? Okay, sorry about that. Good. So let's start from here. Let's start from working conditions. Okay, so physical and mental health is adversely affected by unpleasant working conditions. So noise, bright light, temperature, social or excessive hours. So, you know, if somebody, I remember, like I said, we used to have a 24-hour shift as house officers. It still happens. Now, if you do obstetrics and gynecology, in most hospitals, there's something called 24-hour shifts. So 24-hour shifts is where you work 8 a.m. the next day, non-stop. So 6 hours in labor ward, 6 hours in gynae emergency, 6 hours in theater, and then 6 hours something else. If you are lucky, you get 2 hours rest. So 6 hours there are 4 major departments. So labor ward, theater, gynae emergency, and then I think cesarean section or ward or something. So yeah, you have to do all 4 for 6 hours. So when the 6 hours up here, you switch with the next person, you have to do that for 24 hours. Now, after the 24 hours, you are not done. After the 24 hours, you have to do reviews. You have to review all the patients you've seen in the 24 hours. So you could have seen 40 patients in the 24 hours. You need to do reviews for all of them. You close. So I remember when I was doing obstetrics and gynecology, my grandma passed on one of my shifts. So I just finished the 24-hour shift. I was reviewing. We finished at 8. It was 11 a.m. and I was still reviewing. Then I get a call from home that my grandma's passed. And then my mom has collapsed. And I had to stop and go home. So that I'll finish and come back and finish my reviews by 6 p.m. Go to bed. I got to bed at 8 p.m., woke up at 1 a.m. with an emergency. I had to rush to the hospital. Then ward rounds was at 8 a.m. So crazy, you're working, excessive hours. There's no time to socialize, you know, and it's crazy. So working conditions, good. Overwork. So stress may occur through ability to cope with the technical and intellectual demands of a particular work. So it's important for us, if you're a manager, if you're a director, to realize where people are overworked and help them out. Maybe give them assistance, give them some time to rest, let them work from home, or appreciate them when they have, done so much work. One of the things we do is that if you're a manager or director, you like to give work to the person you trust and less work to the person you don't trust. So the person you trust is often stressed. When they are stressed and they break down, you are afraid to give work to the one you don't trust. So now you need to fall on the person who is sick because they are overworked. And then the cycle continues. Okay, so underwork. So stress can also come from not having enough work to do. You feel very bored, work becomes repetitive. Sometimes you haven't done anything, you are tired because you are used to a lot of work, and then now it's very little work. Next thing about stress at work is uncertainty. Okay, so if you're at work and you don't know whether you're going to be laid off, whether you are going to be retained if you're a national service person, whether your salary is going to be increased, you are not sure. All these things come with a lot of stress. Conflict at work. Okay, let's say you work in a place and you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and then you have broken up. You are in the same department. Wow, look at this. All the stressful, conditions can be very difficult. Like responsibility, relationships at work, changes at work. I'm just going to go through very quickly so that we can get to the part about helping yourself and then getting help when you need it. Okay. Not all the stress we experience is generated in the workplace. Some is from home, some might be from your personal relationships and several things. All right. Good. We've talked about some of the external stresses. We've talked about some of the major life events, but let's just go through very quickly. So what are some of the external stresses that are organizational? So let's say you work in a company, somebody is taking over, they are doing new structural things, everything is changing. You hear that they are sacking people because now COVID has reduced the amount of income. You don't know whether you'll be laid off or not. There's major reorganization. They are selling the company. They are saying that, because of COVID, now they've taken away your health benefits, they've taken away your transportation benefits. Prices are going up, salary is the same, all sorts of things, right? Now, major life events, death of a loved one, divorce or separation. Sometimes somebody's coming to work. You never knew that the person got pregnant and may have lost the pregnancy. The person is quiet and coming to work. And, you don't know. Pulling out all the stress to the person, all the pressure. This person is holding it all inside after having lost a baby and having to come to work because, it's something you don't want to share with people, because in our environment, we don't pay attention to people. We just pay attention to work. If you actually pause to look at the person and how they're doing, you realize something is wrong. And you might want to call the person and ask the person, what's going on? Is everything okay? How's the family? How's everything? They're just piling on their work and the person is dealing with a lot of stress. Next thing the person has resigned, and we don't care because when somebody goes, somebody will come, and all these things affect but we're all people, we're all human. Sometimes just taking an extra minute to think about someone, ask how somebody's doing, be interested in the person's personal life so that the person can be sound to do the work you're giving them. Goes a long way to help. Okay. So like we said, not all the stress we experience is generated at work. What do we do to get help? Number one, recognize that stress is a problem. Recognize the source of the negative stress. Realize that stress is a problem. And then secondly, identify where the stress is coming from, right? If you are stressed, it doesn't mean you are not strong. It doesn't mean that you can't handle it. It doesn't mean you are weak, right? At first I used to like to do that to people. When people complain, I'm like, you're just soft, you're just a complainer. You're just a sissy, right? Suck it up and let's do the work. But sometimes people are really dealing with a lot. So identify where the stress is coming from, right? And then I need to realize that, look, this is why I'm breaking down. I've lost my baby, or I've lost a pregnancy, I'm having a divorce, I'm having to move from Kasuman to Kaswa. It's a stressful thing. And acknowledge it and start putting measures in place to overcome it. Okay. Right. So there's something called the ABC strategy of stress control, and I want to take you through that. The first one is awareness, right? Like we said, identify what causes you stress and how you react to it, right? Introspection, learn to sit down, think situations through, right? And identify where the problem is coming from. Don't always feel like the way to deal with this is to go and drink and go and smoke and go and party or go and just watch TV all day. You have to think, where are these problems coming from and how do I deal with them? Number 2, balance. Okay. Identify what stress is actually helping you become better and what stress is actually breaking you down, right? Identify how much you can cope with before it becomes too much. So the first one is awareness. The second one is balance. The second one is control, right? What can you do to help yourself combat the negative stress? What can you control? What can't you control? And what can you do to control what you can't control? All right. That's some of the techniques to deal with. Number 1, change your way of thinking if you can, right? These are things that you will do for yourself. We'll talk about other things that other people can do, but let's talk about what you can do. So change your way of thinking, right? Don't think that I can't tell you what exactly to change, but I can tell you that always reassessing your perspective about situations first can help you a lot. For example, let me give you an example, right? So let's assume that you are married, okay, and your husband says something that came off to you, or your wife says something to you that came off as disrespectful, and you start thinking about it. Before you react, the best way to think that, okay, why did she say this? Is he or she always like this? Do they always react like this? Oh, no, I've been married for 5 years. My husband doesn't talk like that. My wife doesn't talk like that. So why did they talk like this? Or could it be that they're having a difficult time at work? Or could it be that I did something to set it off? So before you react, to ask, are you having any challenges at work? And then maybe he or she starts to challenge, look, what's going on at work is stressful. And you realize, so all the short answers I was getting, or all the sharp answers I was getting, is just because there was a stressful situation at work. Now you've reframed your thinking. Before you reacted, you thought, could this be a problem? Could this be a way of thinking? Could this be something that's going on with her or him? And then you were able to handle the situation better. Change your behavior and change your lifestyle. Okay, good. I'll not go too much into those things. All right, good. Let's go to change your behavior. That's where I want to dwell on. And then we'll talk about what you can do on the outside. Now, changing your behavior. Number 1, be assertive. Okay. Some people don't know how to say no. They say yes to everything, get involved in everything, and then they get tired. Learn to tell people no. I'm not saying say no for everything, but you don't need to take on work that is not yours every time. Get organized. Okay. Some people don't have any plan. It's like I speak to people, I ask them, have a plan for the week. They say, no, I'm just coming to work. What have you planned to do? Monday, I'm doing this. I'm calling this, I have to call this person, I have to pick this up, I have to do this. Monday, you cross everything off your list. You know that, okay, you have achieved something. You are organized, right? You've planned your life well. Number 3, get fresh air, right? Get something that keeps you relaxed. Ventilation and hydration. Drink a lot of water, taking a lot of fresh air. Don't stay in that air-conditioned enclosed room all day. Get out, get some sunlight, take a walk, get some ventilation. Humor. They say laughter doeth good like medicine, right? Don't spend your whole day watching a Netflix comedy or something, but get a laugh if you need to get a laugh. Diversion and distraction. So once you know that I've met my targets for the day, you are tired, now you can decide, maybe I want to watch a movie. Maybe I want to go to the beach and look at the waves. Maybe, I want to go jogging. Maybe I want to exercise. Maybe I want to do something that takes your attention off of the work, off of the stress for that moment. Get some time away from what usually stresses you. One of the things that I enjoy doing the most When I get to the gate of my house, I park my car, I turn off my headlights, and I stay in the car and listen to music for about 30 minutes before I enter the house. That's my secret. If you share that with anybody, you have put me in trouble. So those 30 minutes are my precious alone time where I get to relax, put my phone on do not disturb, no phone calls, nothing. Just me in my car and my music, and so that's for me. Maybe something else works for you. Good. Right. Now I'm jumping some of the slides because there are things that we've talked about: ventilation, humor, distraction, diet, smoking, alcohol. Good. Now I want to end with this. Quickly talk about sleep, exercise, and leisure. Then we'll talk about what you can do as an organization to help with stress. Right. Now, your sleep, exercise, and then getting time for yourself to relax are very important. Now, if you can't sleep, get medical attention, right? Because sleep is a major stressor. Whether you are sleeping a lot, whether you are sleeping very little, please get medical attention. Number two, your diet. Okay. Now, people, because of work, people eat anyhow, right? We are buying fried yam from Auntie Tina's place. We are buying also very few fruits and vegetables, and then we are eating all sorts of things, a lot of junk. And a lot of these foods, increase our cortisol levels in the body. Cortisol is, a chemical in the body, that sort of piles on the stress, So the sodas, the alcohol, the smoking, the caffeine, the sugar, the processed foods, these are all things that, increase our stress levels, make us feel more tired, and make it very difficult for us to cope with what we are usually dealing with. Okay. Now, finally, let me say that it's important that as an organization, right, you take stress seriously. If you notice our cars, right, how we treat our cars. If you have a new car, usually when the car is new, you go for servicing. We'll give you the servicing date. You pay the car for. So when you hear a small noise, you call your mechanic. But we treat people sometimes worse than we treat our tools and our cars and the things that we have. People are the main driving force of our organizations and of our workplaces. People are the ones who get the work done wherever we work. So we need to treat people humanely. We need to treat people and understand that people get tired. Just like our cars break down, just like our computers break down, people also break down when they overwork. There are people who always complain of overwork when they are not doing anything. Yes, we understand that. But then there are people who genuinely overwork. And it's a responsibility, whether you are a team leader, whether you're a supervisor, whether you're a boss, a director, a manager, an HR person, identify that when your people are in the best shape, they give you the best results. And so you need to ensure that stress levels are well dealt with so that they can give you the best result. Help people, talk to people. Create an environment where people can come to you and open up. If you're an HR and nobody has ever come to you and I said that, you know what, I'm dealing with these issues at home and it's really stressing me out. I'm not asking for a deal for anything. I just want to talk to you about this condition I'm dealing with. You help the person. Your HR doing, no. I don't think it's real proper HR, excuse me to say. So be a human development person. Deal with people. Be like a father or a mother to them, or a coach to them, where you are getting the best out of them by helping them manage the stressful conditions that they are dealing with. And you make the most, out of people. So I'll end my presentation here because of time. And then I'll take some questions from us, if there are any. And then we'll be out of here.
Thank you very much, Doc. Please, are there any questions?
So I see a hand up.
If you have any,
So Fafa, you can ask.
Fafa, yeah. Fafa, please.
Yes, please. All right, thank you. Good afternoon. Dr. Dati, thank you very much for this very interesting and insightful presentation. We have enjoyed it greatly. My question is, can you attribute stress to some sort of mental health, or I dare say mental illness even?
Yeah.
And what solutions would you propose to handle it?
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question, Fafa. Yes. In actual fact, so we have a special presentation on mental health, and one of the conditions that we mention as mental health issues is stress and burnout. So negative stress in itself is a mental health condition because it primarily affects your mental health first before you start to have any physical symptoms. Okay, so dealing with negative stress is a full mental health condition, and as we mentioned earlier, some of the symptoms include anxiety, depression, post-traumatic symptoms, panic attacks, and other physical symptoms. So in itself, it is a mental health condition. So with mental health conditions, we always suggest that get the psychological help you need. Talk to a clinical psychologist, talk to your HR. I always believe that, and I know this because I've spoken to a lot of people who've, been certified in human resource management. That one of the things that they study is the mental health of their staff. I don't know if it's a new thing that they do, but a few of the people I've spoken to always mention that. And so, talking to your supervisor or your HR, or talking to your doctor, or talking to a clinical psychologist. In Ghana, when we talk about clinical psychology, everybody thinks that, hey, are you trying to say I'm crazy? Are you trying to say I have a mental health problem? And I think that, of course, it comes in with the stigma that has to do with mental health conditions. But in major organizations across the world, even in Ghana, I can say on authority, maybe because of the platform I'm on, I'm not going to mention companies, but there are companies in Ghana that have resident clinical psychologists. You don't even have doctors on ground, but they have clinical psychologists on ground because they understand that stress is a very, very important mental health condition. You need to talk to someone, you need to talk to an expert when you are dealing with stress to help, reorient your perspective and help with the mental health problems associated with it. Yes, it is a real mental health problem. The thing is, get help when you need it. Any organization that's, very passionate about, mental health and their staff and stress will always make it possible for their staff to access the necessary help they need, the necessary mental health or clinical psychology help that they need, If there are any other questions, or if I've answered your question, Fafa.
Any more questions?
Hello.
Hi, Mohammed.
Hi, Dr. Dazi. Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted a little more information on how coffee can contribute to stress.
So, coffee contains caffeine, and not just coffee, lots of other things, energy drinks, all these things, they contain caffeine. Now, I mean, as somebody who was hooked on coffee myself, I can tell you that if you are hooked on coffee, you get very little sleep. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you would usually have palpitation. Anybody who drinks a lot of coffee and lots of energy drinks and admit to the fact that your heart usually beats fast for no reason. And I'm sure, Mohammed, if you drink coffee, you would agree with me on that. Now, coffee affects your sleep, right? And what coffee does is that because there's a lot of signal transaction involved in this, but caffeine gives you a sudden energy boost for a short period. Then after that period, you become, exhausted, you become tired. Hence the need for more caffeine. If you take an energy drink, about 2 or 3 hours, you've been able to do more than the average person would, but then you become suddenly tired, and then you need more. You understand? And then it builds a cycle where you are not able to sleep properly. You have very bad bouts of, tiredness. So we don't say that don't drink coffee at all. But for people who are hooked on caffeine, that need a morning coffee every day before they can do anything, that have to drink energy drinks throughout the day, it's definitely going to affect your sleep pattern. It's going to affect the way your heart is beating. It's going to put you at more risk of heart conditions. You're definitely going to be stressed. You understand?
Okay, thank you. I am a little hooked on it, but I don't feel any palpitations or any of those things. What I feel is like maybe at the end of the day, as soon as I get to the house, then I feel so exhausted. But I've never really attributed it to coffee. But now that you've mentioned it, I think I would pay attention to that.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Maybe I'll take 2 more questions and then we'll be done. If there are any. Right. I think there are no more questions. Or is there a chat box I can look at, see if there are any questions there? Good. There are no questions in the chat box either. Right.
Okay.
Right. So if there are no questions, I'd like to hand over now to the moderator so that we can close the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dazi. Thank you for coming and giving us this insightful talk. Thank you so much to you and your team. And thank you everyone for joining in. I hope we've taken something out of this to help us in our daily life. Enjoy the rest of the day and have a blessed weekend. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.